right. Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast. Episode 164 here. Altai, joined by...
Omer. Remote. I'll go with Remote.
So we missed last week, right?
We missed last week. We were away for a wedding, and we're back. Back to normal schedule.
All right.
I have a confession to make, Altai.
Let's hear it.
My confession is I've been playing a mobile game this last week.
Let's hear
I've
it.
been playing a mobile game more, like, a decent, not a lot. Like, I'm not going crazy. I haven't spent any money, obviously, all right? I'm probably never going to spend money. But I've been playing this mobile game. I gave you a link in, so you can maybe share it. It's called Bang Dream Girls Band Party. I'm curious if anybody on the stream has heard about this game. All right, it's a waifu collector game similar to Love Live, and it's basically just a rhythm game. So if you played Os or Osu on the PC, you played Frets on Fire, Guitar Hero. It's that style of game, but with waifus. So this is the game I've been playing, and not too much. I maybe play at most an hour a day. All right, but I have been playing this, and I find it pretty fun, only because it's not your traditional auto-playing game. It's you actually have to manually play, and you do the missions. And there are some persistent elements in the game. It's a waifu collector, and it's actually pretty hilarious because I wouldn't think a game like Bang Dream, this mobile rhythm game, would make sense with gacha elements, because you have like girls in the game. Their wife, basically your wife, who's I mean, the game is called Bang Dream, right? Everyone's dreaming about banging the girls, 100%. Like that's like the subliminal messaging here. You just want to bang all the girls, all right? They're in high school or maybe middle. I don't know where they're from, but everyone wants to bang them. Like there are 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and 4-star characters. So if you have 4-star characters in your group, you just literally get more points than if somebody else has like 2-star characters. So if I perfect a song and I get like full combo, right? I don't drop anything. I will still lose to somebody that doesn't perfect their song if they have better characters than me. So it's literally the guy with the better characters has a much better chance of winning. So it's really weird the way they made up like almost like a pay-to-win gacha mobile rhythm game. But like the core gameplay is pretty fun. So I've been playing a little bit.
Okay, so here's what. First of all, this does segue well into our weekly raid. But before that, I guess I'm in the minority here. But for me, I like the initial gimmick, the mini game of the Frets on Fire. There's like 4 things. But for me personally, if I was gonna play that, I'd download an app that you can basically play offline. In that there's no like score, there's no like like unlocks, there's no different characters, special abilities or whatever. All that like fluff doesn't, to me, it distracts from the actual gameplay. And it's not just the anime theme I don't like. Like any if you replace the anime theme with like any theme, like Diablo, StarCraft, I just don't like the collecting the characters, unlocking things, leveling up. Like I just want to play that rhythm game if I want to play that rhythm game.
Yeah, but the collection gives you a reason to keep playing. It's kind of stupid.
What about just getting a high score?
That too. But the thing is, it keeps you wanting to collect. I mean, I think it keeps you there a bit longer. It gives you like a sense of purpose. Like like unlocks in a lot of games, if done right, like unlocks can keep you playing the game to unlock like all the extra like cosmetics or like even power-ups. Like it keeps you playing the game. Canon and Mocha are best waifus, by the way, in Bang Dream.
You're definitely right. And for a lot of people, it does that seems to work. But for me, it just doesn't. Like I want to play the game. Like I don't. The other fluff around it doesn't really attract me. But clearly, I'm the minority. It's one of our cousins was playing it, and I think she introduced you to it, right?
Yes, and since then, actually, I was surprised to realize a lot of my friends played on Discord. And Canaris made a point, that the gameplay is not the point, it's a vehicle used to interact with the girls. I disagree, actually, especially a game like Bang Dream. There is a lot of core gameplay, but there is obviously attachment to these girl characters, right? Like, the game is called Bang Dream. I still maintain that everyone wants to bang the characters, or visualizing banging the characters, but like, people really do like the characters. Like, some of my friends like, oh, I love Mocha, like she's the best, like, and they actually really grow attached to the characters. So the characters are clearly designed to make to get you attracted to them and feel connected to them, to actually be loyal to them. And in fact, like I logged in yesterday and it's like it's Mocha's birthday today, and like you get some rewards in game, right? Like I'm convinced if they said like it's Mocha's birthday and you log into the game and you see her character in the game, Mocha, with her hands like a hug position, it says Mocha wants you to buy her a gift for her birthday. Tap to spend $5. If they put that there, I am convinced they'd make so much money because people will be attached to that character. Oh, I want to give my virtual waifu a gift, I don't know. Out of curiosity, I asked my friend, would you do it? Yeah, instantly.
I don't know what's more cringy, that the game would do that, or the guy who would actually give money for that, like pay for that.
People would definitely do it for sure. I think people are very attached to the characters, and that's where the money comes from. Their monetization comes from. But yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Bang Dream. I think we should get to the weekly raid. Enough Bang Dream talk.
All right, we have Fallen as a Civilization, Purge with fire. Okay. Anyway,
Yikes.
yep. Let's okay, so to the weekly raid. And I want to ask you something more. So you said in this game basically you cooperatively work with some players, right?
Yes.
And together you can raise your scores. And
Yep.
you can also compete with players, you said, right?
Yeah.
Now, this segues into our weekly raid, which is the second coming of the bots. Now, I'm going to ask you more. Is there any way for you to know that the people you're playing with or against are actual people rather than bots?
There is no way to tell. In fact, the game even has no in-game communication. The only way to communicate with other players when you're in a lobby with them is using predefined stickers. So you can do like emotes in game, right? So there's like you can collect new emotes as well. They're really silly and like really cute. So you see a sticker of one of the girls, and she'll say like anyone for bread. It's a very weird saying. Anyone for bread, or like full combo is easy, or like go go go. There's like these predefined lines you can say, and that's it. So they could easily, all the opponents I've played against could easily be bots. There's no way for me to know for sure if they're bots or humans. Obviously, the people I invite to the game, my friends, they're humans because I invite them to my game. But everyone else we play with could easily be bots, and there's no way to tell.
All right, so with that, first let's do a quick summary here. So, you guys know bots have been around forever in MMOs, right? But it was usually the players, us, deploying bots against the developer, right? We were, whether it's RuneScape or whatever, right? We were botting to either level up quickly on alts or something, or to farm gold, right? For ourselves or to sell RMT. And honestly, developers have tried a lot of ways to stop botting, but it seems like in 2018 at least, they kind of gave up in that they, instead of just trying to fight the bots by banning them, they're actually changing gameplay mechanics to, dissuade you from botting or RMTing. And what I mean by that is, restrictions on trade, bind on pickup, bind on equip, that kind of stuff. And a lot of games even now have built-in bots, especially mobile games, but even some PC games have built-in bots. So developers have basically gave up trying to fight bots. And I'm going to argue now in this weekly raid, we're going to argue that developers have realized they can actually use bots against players. So now we're going to be on the receiving end of bots. So Amar, I know we played Freestyle 2 a while back, right? And it took me a few rounds to realize that the first few matches you play are actually against bots, because these bots have names like Korean Slaya 16, and they say stuff to you in chat like haha noob, or like they chat with you kind of, right?
Yeah, they chat with you, and their names are very convincing player names, like Big Baller 79 or something. They're very like weird names that you wouldn't associate with being bots. So for a while, it's not obvious. Your first 10 games in Freestyle 2 Street Basketball, some Korean basketball free-to-play MMO, it's basically you're playing against bots, exclusively bots. And you don't even know this until after your 10 games are finished, and then you start playing against players. And if I didn't tell you they were bots, I don't know if it's not obvious that they are bots.
Yep, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And I guess mobile is leading the way here. There's a couple of mobile games that where the developers are being accused of employing bots in a deceptive manner. Actually, we should step back though. There's nothing wrong with bots. I mean, every monster is an AI, right, in a game.
Yeah.
But the problem here is, and I think it's a problem, I want to see if you guys agree, that often you're going to be facing opponents that you think are real players, but are actually bots. And I think that's when you get dicey, because I feel like you're being lied to in a way, right?
Yeah.
So you had a good example in the mobile genre. You had two examples, the PUBG one and the strategy one.
So PUBG Mobile, for example, when that game first came out, I think I did their first look video right when it came out, right? And I was kind of curious what PUBG Mobile would have been, because PUBG is such a successful game on the PC. So I downloaded it on launch day. On my first game I'm playing, right, and I'm realizing, wow, these guys are really bad. There's something off, right? Like in the middle of my first game, after I got 5 kills, on my 6th kill, in my first game, I stopped shooting. I walk up to a character, and he's just running around, and he's not shooting me back. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. The game never told me I'm playing against bots. In fact, the game told me I'm playing multiplayer. But there is no way on God's green earth these are players. So I'm thinking, are these guys bots? So my next few kills, I start acting really weirdly. Like I don't shoot them right away. I'll tap them once and wait. And then I realized they must be bots. So in 2 games, I realized completely they're like 90% of players in the game were bots. I came in 2nd place only because the first place person, I would just walk around until they eventually killed me. And I'm pretty sure it was a bot as well. And then I look on Twitter when the game launched, and all my friends who are casual, I have a lot of casual friends on Twitter, they're all posting, oh man, my first game of PUBG Mobile, I came in 1st place, man, I'm really good at this game. I'm like, wait a minute, like I know you. You fucking suck at video games. Like, no offense, it's okay to suck. It's okay to be, it's okay to be gray, it's okay to be bronze, it's okay to be, 1K elo, okay? It's okay. It's no big deal. Like, I know these guys are bad. So I see all my friends that my bad friends that rank really high in PUBG Mobile. I'm like, and they're all bragging. They feel so good about themselves, and I'm laughing on the inside because I know they're bots. And then that made it even more obvious that they're playing against bots. And even more recently, I read an article. I think it was by The Verge or Kotaku or something where, Tencent did not, the accusations there are bots in the game, but it's unconfirmed. What do you mean unconfirmed? I played one game. I knew for a fact there were bots in the game after one game. So it's weird that like other media outlets said it was unconfirmed there were bots. It's confirmed. Okay, you play one game, you know there are bots in the game. So it made people feel good about themselves, and people didn't even realize there were bots. And what's remarkable is that people like me and the people that are watching this stream, well-educated, high IQ, big brain gamers like you guys, will obviously realize what a bot is and what a bot isn't. When you're playing against humans, you're playing against bots. But the average player, especially for a mobile game, the average player is not going to realize. Easily, like 5-10% of players will realize, but 90%, the vast majority will have no idea. And they'll go blissfully on thinking they're amazing at this game and they'll feel good about themselves. And it's weird to say, like, it feels deceptive and it feels wrong, but these people are walking away with a sense of like pride and they're happy, right? And I want to take that away. I want them to know they're playing against bots and they actually suck at the game, all right? I want them to know that. But obviously there's pros and cons because they do feel good about themselves, but it's like a false sense of feeling good. So I don't know how to, I feel like they're being lied to.
Definitely. And I think the scope here is endless. So right now it's starting with very obvious, like you said, the bots play very poorly. You came in second, and it's only because you kind of like died on purpose.
Yep.
But I can imagine, especially in games where you cannot chat with the other team, HOTS comes to my mind. So Heroes of the Storm. Imagine you're playing a game of HOTS, either by solos queue or you queue as a 5-stack, right? You queue against a team. They have like real names, like, like Illidan Lover 69, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're just bots. They're literally just bots. And you can even look them up on those like stat sites, and they could just have they could have a profile, and like they just keep queuing, and they improve and learn. Some are made to be bronze, some are made to be platinum, and that's it. And there's no way for you to ever figure out if they're a player or not.
And we've seen through the OpenAI in Dota 2, the international featured a game between 5 bots against 5 pro players, in an exhibition match, and the bots won. Not at TI, they won a exhibition match like right before TI. I think they lost the TI match, but there are bots that play Dota 2. They can beat professional players, all right, with some modification to the game. But bot technology for these games are getting really good. So this could easily exist in those games. And not just those games. They could exist easily in MMORPGs as well. I mean, most of the interactions in MMORPGs, especially like for casual players, if you're playing World of Warcraft, like Final Fantasy 14, if you're playing MapleStory, if you're playing any of these games, like if you do regular party dungeons, these games, most people don't even talk anyway, right?
Yeah.
Chat. Plus, you can have bots that can chat decently well already. If you Google chatbots, like they're getting better. So you could easily be playing with bots in the future in World of Warcraft, in Final Fantasy 14, or in any random MMORPG, especially in dungeon content where nobody even talks anyway. In fact, since Battle for Azeroth came out, I ran a lot of dungeons for gear, and nobody says a word. Everyone is just literally quiet the entire time. Like, how do I know I'm playing with even humans right now? The only way I know that is because I know I've been playing WoW for a long time, and I'm assuming they're humans. But in a lot of games, I've actually begun to second guess myself because I used to play Clash Royale on the phone, right? One of the few mobile games I played a decent amount of, right? Never spent any money, by the way. It's a fun game, but I'm not going to spend any money on a pay-to-win garbage mobile game. But like, I just realized I could be playing against bots in a game like Clash Royale without even realizing it. So, in fact, I'm actually pretty confident that game utilizes bots, and not just that game. If you've played any of the Game of War games, if you played Final Fantasy 15, A New Empire, any of those garbage mobile strategy games, these games are so beautifully designed for bots because the gameplay is not like in real time. These are basically like slow-paced, turn-based games online. And they exist in this persistent world, and they could very easily be bots. And there have been accusations that every one of these mobile strategy games and browser strategy games, including Evony, utilize bots. And the typical strategy for these games are basically you start playing the game, you have like 24 hours or 48 hours of protection time where nobody can attack your base, right? And you spend this time building up your base, and after 48 hours passes, your shield goes away, you're open to open PvP in these games, you can be attacked by another player. And then very often people report like they get attacked instantly. And they're not sure if they're being attacked by players or bots because they're always going to attack when that barrier goes away. And it could be a way to induce players to spend money to defend their base.
Yeah, and I have a picture up here of an example I found on Reddit. So this is in an EA game. It's called SimCity Build It. It looks like the same nonsense as every other strategy game. So this guy, on the human player who's attacked, is on the left. And this is the name of his cities. So Ortega, Honeysuckle, NSA, Polaris, Peaceful Villa, Wolf, Wood L, Somerville, Baddest Dad, Prison Hospital. So these are names that like a guy would make up, right? Like Bad Boy, Bad Boy. Now look at the right. The right is the one he's accusing of being a bot. And look at, first of all, the city's have very similar. The top ones have similar score. And look at the names: Golden Mist, Purple Mist, Violet Mist, Blue Mist, Orange Mist, Indigo Mist. It's like not even a good bot. You know, all the city names are just mist, color mist.
Yeah, so it looks like each of the numbers you see to the right of those are basically the city's strength, right? How much power they bring to the battle, right? So in a normal human behavior, if you're playing one of these games, your cities aren't going to all have the exact same strength. It makes no sense, right? But in this case, they are the exact same. This seems more likely to be a bot. And the thing is, this is some obscure mobile strategy game, right? There are companies like Machine Zone who make Game of War and Final Fantasy 15, New Empire, and Mobile Strike. They're making like $1 billion a year. And I think they've perfected bots. So there have been accusations of this happening in so many different strategy games, and it makes sense. They could just, why not be bots, right? There's every incentive in the world for the guys that make these games to populate the world with bots, because when you have, it makes the world feel more full, right? It makes you feel more invested in the game when there's a bigger player base. And when they can control the bots to attack your base, they can set it up in a way that like your first few attacks are kind of weak. They build you up to getting stronger, and they attack you with a really powerful force. And they make it basically, if you spend money, you survive. If you don't, you die. They can calculate if you will spend money or not based on like your interaction with the bots in the past. There is so much incentive to create bots in these games that I think it's already taking over mobile games. I think there are more bots than we realize. If you played Paladins as well, Paladins when it went free to play, I think your first 5 games were all against bots, and the game doesn't tell you. It's deceptive about it, which is the scary part. And these games don't tell you when you're playing against bots. And how do you know the last party you went up with, in Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft, they weren't bots? There's no way to actually know. The only way we know right now is that we're all pretty sure Square Enix and WoW aren't lying to us, right? But like 5-6 years from now, when the technology gets better, I think, all these games can be populated with bots, and we just won't know.
Yeah, I think so. And in a way, it's interesting. I want to see that world, because can you imagine like League or Dota, where all the toxic players, instead of being banned, they have the equivalent of a shadow ban. On Reddit or Twitter, something called a shadow ban, where you don't know you're banned. So you can still read Twitter or Reddit. You can leave comments. It's just that nobody can see your comments. Mm-hmm. But you can still see them. So I can imagine a game like Dota, where if let's say you get put on low priority for being a harassing person or something, you're playing against bots, and your team is all other leavers, right? Like other toxic players, but you're playing against bots, and they're beating you, you're beating them, but you don't even know that you're playing against bots. You just don't get to interact with players because you're toxic.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it in games like League and Dota and FPS games before MMORPGs, because MMORPGs, they do usually always have a means to communicate, right? And you can always check if someone's a bot. If you're playing an MMORPG, you can actually literally ask them questions to their face, right? And that can kind of make players sure of bots. But all the mobile games that have 0 player interaction, all the MOBAs, like, they can just ignore you, and it's kind of normal, right? But in an MMORPG, it's easier to test if they're a bot or not. So I think we're going to get an MMORPGs last. But I think easily in 5-10 years from now, if you're playing Runes of Magic, any obscure MMORPG, it could be filled with bots, and it could have a thriving bot economy of all these NPC, server-controlled bots, tricking you into thinking it's like a full world. And we're going to see it a lot in mobile games. We've seen it in PUBG Mobile. We've seen it in Paladins. We've seen it in Freestyle. I think these are like all PC games as well, and tons of mobile games. So it's gonna be a completely different world, I think, in like 10 years.
Yeah, and again,
technology is only getting better.
Our concern here is not bots per se. And you guys mentioned a few games like Final Fantasy 11 or DDO. They allow you to recruit bots to kind of fill your party, right? Like, but they're NPC companions, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when you think you're playing against a player or playing with a player, but it turns out to be a bot. So that's a concerning part.
Yeah. When they're tricking you and you think you're playing with humans, but you're playing with bots. It's just a bit weird, It just rubs you in a really weird way.
Indeed. All right. Well,
bots taking over, boys.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty cool story. If you guys do notice situations like that, particularly in mobile games, I think it's pretty prevalent now. Bring it up. Leave us a comment or mention it in chat next week. But I think,
or any of the mobile games you play too. If you see bots in them, or you think you're playing against bots, it's worth mentioning. It's pretty cool. Let's try to catalog all the games that utilize bots without telling you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. OGProof asked, "What's your opinion on full loop PvP games like Darkfall?" OGProof, the problem is those games, they're fun, but the audience for those games are tiny, and they cannot succeed. Because for those games to succeed, like, most players cannot survive a cutthroat world like Darkfall. They cannot survive a cutthroat world like Ultima Online. They just can't. The player base for that isn't big enough. And for that reason, those games never manage to take off. And there's been a lot of games like Darkfall who have tried to go with the full loop open PvP. And games that do a compromise can survive. I think Old School RuneScape is a good example. If you die in the Wildy, you can drop your loot and stuff. The open PvP in the Wildy, But there's full loot across the board. I love those kind of games. I grew up playing Ultima Online at my brother. We love those games, but there's just the audience isn't there for them. It's a hardcore niche audience. And with that, there's a controversy in Final Fantasy 14 I want to talk about, and we also have let's talk about the Final Fantasy 14 controversy first, and then we'll jump to the Riot Games one, which is pretty cringe.
All right, what do you got?
So, I'm pretty sure you haven't heard of this, but so Final Fantasy 14 has a new event going on called like the Something Rises, right? And it's in that event you can get a piece of gear called the White Raven Earring. All right, pretty innocuous, right? You get the White Raven Earring from this event, and it's caused a huge uproar in the Final Fantasy 14 forums. And let me go and link you the forums for this. And the reason being is basically the way events work in Final Fantasy 14, like the Rising event, you literally talk to an NPC and you do this brain dead easy quest and you get the reward, right? It's basically a free giveaway for these items, right? Event items. In this case, you get some nice earrings for it. Now, here the problem arises because this earring was an exclusive 1.0. Remember, Final Fantasy 14 1.0, which is before Realm Reborn came out, drop that you would only get after defeating a hard boss in the game. So very few players were ever able to get this item in the game. It was these White Raven earrings, which are super rare. You had to defeat this very difficult boss that very few people ever did. So maybe in the entire game, there's like less than 1,000 players that have this, right? And now they literally handed the item out to everybody by doing this event, which is brain dead easy. And you can see in the forum post that they have a community rep quote from 2012 saying that this item will not be attainable in a Realm Reborn when the game relaunches because it's just from the original game. And people are pissed off as well because sometimes when they brought back old items, they would add a replica to the end of the item, right? So that you know that it's a replica item. You know, it's a reintroduced version of the item. They didn't do it in this case.
Well, okay. So since they were doing the replica thing before this, they probably should have done it here. But overall, I am glad they did this.
Why?
Because I don't like people who feel like they're smug because they have this exclusive thing. So the fact that they redo it and it kind of annoys these people makes me feel better.
What do you mean feeling smug? This was like a sign of achievement. This was like this wasn't given. It wasn't even like one of those things.
How is it an achievement? I can't get it now, right? Because I can't go back in time.
Yeah, and you probably would never be able to get it. Anyway.
You don't know that.
It wasn't something like you make a good point for like if you played back then, everyone got it, right? Or like it was basically a giveaway back then. In that case, I feel like you're right because it was more of a you had to be there to get it. Here, not only did you have to be there to get it, you had to be there and be the top 0.1% of players to be able to get it. And there's actually a comment by some guy named Admiral Benson who cleared ultimate content and got the current ultimate content that's out in the game, and he got this item back in 1.0. And he says, I know what difficult content is like, and getting this item back then was harder than doing the ultimate content today, which only 0.01% of players even did the ultimate content in Final Fantasy 14. So he's saying this wasn't like you were there, you got it. This was a trophy, right? It was like you won like a legit trophy.
I got it, but look, the trophy represents, right, your actual event that you did. So that guy who did that, he knows he achieved it. Okay, yes. Right? That's the.
But reward. Now, why does everyone get the same trophy now?
Okay, because the trophy never has meaning. It's an accomplishment. Of course, it has meaning. No, the accomplishment has meaning.
So, do you think if they gave every actor in the world got a Grammy? Okay. Don't you think it would dilute the meaning of the Grammys? Do you think people would watch the Grammys and give a shit about the Grammys?
Let's say they hold the Grammys, right? They give out the Grammys, but then they sell the exact replica of the statue. And it doesn't say replica; it's the exact same one. They sell them for $5 a pop to everyone. You still know who won. Why do you need that? Like, why does that thing?
But you don't know who won because there's no way to tell who won.
Let's make a list. With
Grammys, there's an event and you see who won it, right? Nobody knows if the people that have this item today got it back then or not. You know.
There's no what do you call it?
No, the item is the exact same.
There's no achievement list or something?
No. You can never tell. The guy could just lie to you and say he has it. You got the item, he says he got it back in the day. There's no way to distinguish who actually earned it.
Okay, that seems like a problem with the game. Most of the time they want to do is they have achievements or not even achievements, but but
even in achievement, you can't see their achievement, And I don't think it came with a title. So this was actually just a trophy you would have in the game.
Are there one of those like data sites for Final Fantasy 14 where you can see the character's profile and everything they did? Like they're
maybe
like okay.
But I don't know if you view achievements through those third-party websites or not. You might be able to view titles, but I don't think it came with a title that you can wear publicly. And somebody said you can go to a trophy shop and buy a trophy. Yes, yeah, but the real world has mechanics to distinguish who earned the trophy and who didn't. These virtual worlds.
Why don't you start a website called Final Fantasy 14 OG White Earring Crowd, and then
wait, hold on. Keep in mind the community rep that works for Square Enix literally said that they have a confirmation from the devs that this item will not be obtainable in the relaunch version of the game. It was a rare achievement in the 1.0 game. I feel like it's a slap in the face of everyone that earned this item back in the day. And it's look, Final Fantasy XIV is actually pretty good with basically releasing old content. If you miss something because you weren't there, you can usually buy it in the cash shop, right? You can buy it, and they put the word replica at the end because you didn't get it.
I already yielded that since they did that in the past with the replica thing, they probably should have done that here too. Okay, I will yield that. But as a general principle, let's say they never did the replica thing and they just brought them back.
Okay.
Then I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
I have a big problem. It feels like these are your most loyal players that earn something, and you're devaluing their achievement. And it's not. It's about It's bragging. People play MMORPGs for bragging rights, okay? And if you take this away, I think it's gonna piss off a lot of players. Like, why not? And why introduce? There's so many items you can add to the game. Why this one?
Here's what I don't get. Okay.
Why piss off your players?
This seems like a recent thing in gaming. But by recent, I mean like 15 years, so not that recent. But okay, remember when we played Quake 3, okay,
Sure.
or StarCraft 1? You knew who was good and who was bad, right?
Yes.
Without the need for this rank number, like a league has. Even if a league had no ranking system, the same people would be at the World Championships, right?
Yeah, of course.
That are there today, because there clearly is some kind of who's good, who's bad.
Yes.
Okay, so this symbol, these earrings, right? That's not what makes them clear the content. If you clear the content, you know who did it. These are all loyal people that have been playing for 5+ years. They know who else was there that day, right, when this thing happened. So like, what are they losing?
I think you're missing a very fundamental thing about bragging rights. Okay, like my friend, for example, recently completed Heaven on High solo level 100, right? And they probably spent a good 50 hours running this content, right? And for doing it, you get a title. If you didn't get a title, if you didn't get the bragging rights associated with that title that you can share off, they simply would not have done it. And not just them. Most people, nobody else would do it. Because why? The whole point you would do these accomplishments is bragging rights.
I don't believe that. I think there's things we did in in EverQuest or Ultima Online.
It doesn't apply to every line of thinking. However, when you're trying to achieve something where it's like, especially when it's something that's like so oddly pointless, right?
Okay. So imagine I bought Final Fantasy 14 today and I did this event for these earrings, and I went around saying, "Oh, I was there. I did it." No one would believe me, right? Just like if I said right now, I climbed Mount Everest. I got a statue of Mount Everest. That means I climbed it. No one would believe me. Like, you don't need the trophy is not. But
the reality, if you had this trophy literally before this event came out, everyone believes you. You know why? Because it's literally the only way to get it. You could not have bought it from anybody else. You had to have done it, right? So that was the way to identify who did it. And by giving it away to everyone, you can no longer identify. Now nobody's gonna believe anybody. Let's say you actually did do the content back then. No one's gonna believe you anyway, no matter what. So you took away a means for people to identify their achievements in to literally gain nothing.
People shouldn't need that kind of thing. They should know their achievements.
People shouldn't need money. People shouldn't need cars. We should all live like Zen Buddhists and just meditate and be happy. Yeah, that's what we shouldn't need material things. But the reality is human behavior, like bragging rights and accomplishments and achievements, are what drives us to do things in games.
Okay, so before, like I said, in the past of gaming, you had bragging rights as well, right? Without an item or a title that said you did it, you still know who did it. In the community.
No. Games, even in the past, like World of Warcraft, EverQuest, still had bragging rights. The people that got the best gear in the game, it was bragging rights if you had it.
Okay.
And no point to take away your bragging rights by giving it away to everyone. So I don't understand your point over here.
Well, you can kill Ragnaros today in WoW and just get his thing, and anyone can sell it at level 120, obviously. So
today, yes, you can do that today.
But and if someone says to me, "Oh, I killed Ragnaros in vanilla, like I was the first, world first. Look, I have the item," I wouldn't believe him just because they have the item. Like, what? That's not like. I don't get this.
If Ragnaros dropped like a specific loot during vanilla that he no longer drops today, and then you suddenly took that away and gave it away to everyone, you would just piss off everybody and gain nothing out of it.
I wouldn't be pissed off.
I'd be immensely pissed off. It's just a big slap in the face for your players. Players do this for the bragging rights. For example, I played Final Fantasy XIV a good amount, right? And there's a website called FFXIV. I linked it. You can show my FFXIV over here. And if it wasn't for bragging rights associated with FFXIV, where you can show off your stats on how well you do,
okay,
I would have stopped playing a long time ago. The bragging rights are what kept me playing the game. And hold on,
that's a weird way. That's a retarded way to play.
No, every player plays a game for different reasons, and there's a percent of players that want to get you can call it retarded, whatever. It keeps me engaged with the game longer. I wanted to get oranges and higher numbers on this website to track my DPS, right? And I'm 1% in that fight. I'm 2% in this fight. 17% in the last fight. I definitely could have done better, but whatever. But this site and trying to achieve better stats is what kept me engaged with the game. And it's not just me. A lot of people do these things to keep engaged with the game. My friend who did the solo content to level 100 spent 50 hours trying to accomplish this to literally get a title, right? You don't really get anything but a title for it, right?
Good job. You're just falling for their little time traps. Good.
What are you falling for? That's what entertainment is. It's time trash. It's loops. You watch Netflix to veg out and relax.
Imagine tomorrow Netflix added something called the new Netflix achievement system, and they make hundreds of achievements, like watch one series in one go without stopping.
I bet your ass their engagement numbers go through the roof.
Maybe, but I'm just saying those people are retarded. The people who would engage are just dumbass people.
No,
yes.
I think you're completely wrong.
Like imagine three's a trick. You watch 3 complete series in one day. Like whoa, look, I'm gonna get this Netflix achievement, guys. Like
I think that they should do that. They get a lot more engagement with it. That's actually you should suggest that to them. Also, Aaron is now the entertainment police. He gets to decide what forms of content are acceptable entertainment. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have to derive achievement entertainment from this, right? But to call somebody else's entertainment where they value things retarded is, I think, really absurd. Because you don't value these things. I accept that you don't value this, right?
Yeah.
But what do you value? Whatever you value as entertainment, I'm not going to call stupid because you get nothing out of that.
If you weren't going to do something until a little achievement chart told you to do it, okay, you're retarded. Now, if you were going to do it anyway, whatever it is, right? Let's say you were going to watch 3 series in a row on Netflix, right? God bless. But if you choose to do it because a stupid little symbol called achievement list has a tick box.
Rights. People do things for bragging rights in literally everything.
Those aren't bragging rights. They're retarded rights.
They are. What? People do
someone
bragging rights in real life and in video games. Yes, people do things for bragging rights. It's to be like, I'm the best. And here's proof I'm the best.
I agree. Bragging rights are great, okay?
Yeah.
But if you need a listicle or something like a FF charts to like chart your bragging rights for you, like that's not bragging rights now. It's just fulfilling the machine's requirement of you or ask of you.
Why? It also serves real utility as well, because if you want to get into groups and they'll check the first thing they'll check, raid groups they'll check is your FF logs. If you don't if you don't have good stats, they're not going to consider you for their groups. So it does serve utility as well, bragging rights and utility.
So once again, you're okay with the Netflix achievement thing I listed?
I think it's a genius idea. I actually think it's a really good idea. And Riot Force agrees over there. The chat. Honestly, if there was a quest, imagine when you first launched Netflix, right? It's like your daily quest. Imagine daily quest on Netflix. I would watch that. I would watch more Netflix. So would I. This is a fucking genius idea.
It's like, can you imagine? Like, hey, what level are you on Netflix? Oh, I'm level 16. I just finished my 16th.
If Twitch added achievements for like watch one stream, watch 8 different streamers for 20 minutes each. If they added that, oh my god, holy mind blown! Twitch should add achievements, daily quests, and like levels. People would do that. People would love that shit. Altai came up with a genius idea, literally like on the fly over here. All right, this is time to invest in Netflix stock and give them the suggestion. All right, boys, here we go.
Oh my god.
No, but I'm actually mind blown that you don't recognize that people play these games for achievements and like.
By the way, if there's a lot of people that are on the dumb side of the equation.
I don't think it's dumb because look, I personally played for the bragging rights on FF logs. Is one of the reasons I kept playing the game. If and people like. If there was imagine if in World of Warcraft, Altai, they added some like really hard. If you could do some like dungeon solo, right, and it's really hard to do solo. But if you do it, you get a special title, right? If they didn't put the title there, nobody would do it.
I don't think that's true. I think there are a lot of people. For example, speedrunners, right? They in games before they had achievements, right? Like Mega Man. People do it to do it, right? They don't do it.
They do it to put their numbers on the stream. They do it to compete with each other too. It's a sport, right?
Oh, I'm fine with that. Again, if you're doing something to brag to your community or the broader community, right? Bragging rights, to show off you're better or whatever.
Bragging rights. Exactly. That's what these achievements are. That's what this earring was.
You don't understand. If you're doing it to compete with your peers, whatever it is, even if it's Netflix watching, I can't judge you. Okay, it's you.
So why are you judging these earrings?
If you're doing it right because the system told you this is the achievement you should go for, so you can get this check mark, and you're doing it for the check mark, not because it's an interesting distraction for you. It can be if it's both, it's fine. But if you're doing it, but you said nobody would do it without that achievement. You said that.
Yeah. If you got literally nothing for it, yes.
If you do something, okay, whether it's grinding,
you get a reward for it too.
Whether it's grinding.
The thing about the reward is, you're missing the point here. You're missing the point with the earrings. You're missing the point with doing the solo heaven on high. The point is the bragging rights. You cannot have the bragging rights without the title or the achievement. Because you can show. Nobody will believe you.
You're not doing it for the. Why do you want to show it to me who doesn't play the game? You're bragging to your
I want to
community.
show it to be. Let's say you want to show your community, right? And nobody's gonna fucking believe you unless you have the title over your head.
I don't think it's true.
Or you can link them your Twitch followers doing it, which nobody's gonna click into.
Before the internet existed, there were still people who sped run before the internet existed. They shared it with their community. They did multiple. They had clubs.
We had all these friction points of proving your achievements, right? And you're saying that was ideal. No, the reality was that was the shit days where we didn't have easier ways to prove you accomplished something. And internet and technology made that easier where you can prove your achievements to other people. We got rid of those friction points. You could always link VODs to people saying, look what I did. Or do you have the title, which is easier? Nobody's going to click into your VODs to see your achievements. There's an easier way of doing it that doesn't hurt anybody.
Okay, I understand about hurting anybody. But let me distill my point here, okay? One last time. If the achievement is a bonus for you, right? If it's something you enjoyed doing or would have done without that achievement there, and this is a bonus, an easier way of showing off, like you said, I'm okay with it. But if you are doing something to chase an achievement list, right? You are totally conceding your free will, like completely.
Here's the problem: you cannot divorce these two things from each other.
You can.
No, you can't, because you want to do something to prove that you did it, right? And the only way to prove you did it was the achievement or the title. That's how can you divorce those two concepts?
Because we know for a fact that before the achievement systems existed, right? People still did what today would be achievements, or whether it's going fast, doing something solo that can be supposed to be.
And what today's achievement systems and rewards did is they proved that you did those things in an easier way.
Okay, so if you are the kind of person who would have done it without the achievement, and now you do it with the achievement, I'm okay.
Forget the achievement is there to prove you did it. That's all it's there for. Nobody gives a shit about that check mark.
You just admitted there are people who will only do it for the check mark.
Well, they're doing it for the
you said that, not me.
It's brag. The check mark is there for the bragging rights. They don't get very few people I imagine get real glory out of seeing that check mark. They do it so they can show off. I think this is all about bragging rights.
I think you're wrong. I think when people log into a game and they see the list of achievements, right? Even if they have no interest in showing off to anybody that list, they will do it just to check those things because they're just like mesmerized. Like they gotta like get those achievements done.
Arcade Machines had a high score list too. That's an achievement list as well. More proof over there. The whole point is these achievements in the game, these titles in the game, gave you bragging rights, and I think players are reasonably pissed off that the very few players who earned these earrings back in the day are now literally given out to everybody. And this guy's comment is, this is about being authentic and trustworthy so that there's value that can be gleaned from the decisions to spend hours in this world that I want to keep on loving. People spent hours earning this content, earning these achievements back in the day, and it's literally being taken away by giving it to everybody.
It's not being taken away.
That's a big slap in the face.
It's not.
It is. The ability to show off, the ability to say I did this is gone now. Nobody can.
It's not.
Prove who did it.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't. There's
not like
unless you pull up an 8-year VOD.
Okay. So here, in a world without achievement systems or titles, how do people prove these things?
You trying to say this was the ideal world?
Like
that
the
was
ultimate
the garbage
online,
world.
like the world first in EverQuest. Some guild got it. I don't know what it was. Right? There was no way to check in the game.
Yeah, and it'd be better if you can easily distinguish that without going on a third-party website.
So my point is, they are not taking the achievement away from you. They're taking away the stupid symbol of the achievement. Which I agree. It's and by the way, I conceded.
That's the reason I play games, and it's the reason I bet you play a lot of games.
No, it's not, because we played games before achievement systems existed.
And guess what? And not all achievements.
We did.
The ability to show off the achievements was a huge positive.
No, it wasn't. We played Counter-Strike, StarCraft 1, Quake. There were no achievements. There was no rank system.
Achievements. It's not about achievements themselves. It's about being able to prove you did something. And I think making it easier to prove that was literally a win-win for everyone.
No, I think we seeded what we're supposed to be doing in a game instead of. See, this is why we can't have good sandboxes either, because we're all chasing this listicle of achievements, and I think it makes gaming less exciting overall.
I'll tell you, what about this, right? If you were a 1.0 player in Final Fantasy 14, so you play the game before Realm Reborn, for example, your character has a special tattoo in the game, legacy tattoo that is impossible to get out. It marks that you were a survivor of the cataclysmic events of 1.0, right? It marks something, that you were there at the time, right? What if you can just randomly add that to your character going forward? Don't you think it would diminish the value and piss off players? Or would it be a good thing if they can do that?
Hold up. So, okay, I played EverQuest, right, when it was new. As an experience,
answer that question. All right, go ahead.
And I shared that experience with people, right? I ran into someone a couple days ago who also played EverQuest during launch, right? And we talked about it for 30 minutes, reminiscing. Now, imagine you could have a title in like, I don't know, in a new game. It says EverQuest Survivor, right? And you have that title, I have that title, everyone has that title. That will not, or everyone doesn't have that title. Either way, it will not. I will not lose my experience. Like, I don't understand. Why do you need this recognition by this company? Like you have it. You know who's telling the truth. You know who's not.
Bragging rights. It's why we do things in the real world and the virtual world. Stop acting autistic, because you know people react this way. People do things for the bragging rights.
Yes.
And when you take it away, there's less reason to do it. If you took away FF logs, I would just play Final Fantasy less. I don't think it makes me stupid, and I don't think where you derive value is stupid. But it hurts me that you can't see this.
No, I think if you're playing it just for this, and you wouldn't play it without this, then that's weird.
I would have played it less. Is the reality? Okay. I would have done it once, never again.
I think the universe would have been a better place then. I think this was a misallocation, a poor decision to play the game, a poor reason to play. No, you don't need my permission. You can play the game for any reason. You can like stab yourself with a knife and say, I like this. Like I can't. I'm not trying to judge in that sense. I'm just telling you my opinion on the value. That's it.
I think you're crazy. And like I said, what about the legacy tattoo thing, for example? Anyone that played the original Final Fantasy 14 got the 1.0 legacy tattoo. Would you take that away from them? Or would you put that in the character creator?
I'm not taking away
because why the fuck not? You would support putting that back in the
I wouldn't be against it, but I wouldn't push for it.
Okay, I guess we'll agree to disagree over here. I think we've shared our opinions. Yeah. I am firmly bamboozled and surprised that you
really. I mean, yes. I think you knew before. I hate, by the way, if you couldn't tell, guys, I hate achievements. Like, what I mean by that is like the checkmark achievements. You know, if you achieve something in a game, you want to tell your friends, brag, tell these war stories. It's amazing. I do it all the time. Like like this crazy stuff we did in old games. But if you need like this like a title or a checkmark to prove to everyone you did it, it's not exciting.
You do need to prove that you did it, because otherwise people don't believe you. Your friends will believe you, but unless you look at 20-minute VOD to people, no one's gonna believe you. Why put the friction point there when you can as easily fix it by putting a title and you can show off that you actually did do it? Like, I don't understand that. Why do you want to create the extra friction? You literally gain nothing for the extra friction, and you're defending it for some reason. I don't get it.
Well, okay. Again, I preface that in the previous items they did this with, if they added a replica, I don't see why they didn't also do it here. Okay, I'm yielding that. So there's no reason to jump down my throat. But
I'm jumping down your throat.
Okay, I don't even see a reason for that replica thing over if they had to do it over.
Bragging rights is the success of mobile games. Velosuit, I think bragging rights is the success of a lot of games. And I don't know. Again, we'll agree to disagree over here. We got some other fun controversy to talk about. So I will definitely talk about this with you more offline, Altai, because
sure. Okay.
I like arguing about this shit with you, but I don't really understand. Yeah, maybe I can better understand your perspective later. But you showed me this article earlier about Riot Games and SJW Baka business. So share, Altai.
All right. So which article am I? Are you linking here?
The one about well,
first let's cover the whole spiel once again. Okay.
The arc. Okay.
The arc here. Okay. So the arc basically starts with the league being accused of sexual misconduct and shitty work environment. Okay. And basically they responded this week. The response was basically to say, okay, we fucked up. No defense. We're gonna change our ways, right? We're gonna mend our ways. They hired a whole bunch of lawyers and culture consultants and all this stuff.
Culture consultants,
not one but two. They said they hired two of the leading culture people, I guess, in the world for this stuff. Okay, so they did all that, and I guess we're talking about the more recent controversy, right? With the at PAX, I believe it was.
Yes.
So at PAX, they had a seminar. I guess if you guys have ever been to conventions where they have like these little panels, right, and you can sit and listen to people talk about a certain topic. Like I remember we went to BlizzCon many years ago, and they were talking about like Diablo panel. They had like the WoW panel. So apparently at Riot area, they had a panel at PAX, and this panel was about how minorities can better navigate the waters at Riot. So this was, I guess, aimed at people who were either employees or prospective employees of Riot, and how they would basically panel how minorities can navigate this world. And so the controversial part is this panel was not just the panel, but the seating at the panel was only open to women and non-binary people. So basically, men were left out. They were banned from just sitting and listening to this conversation. So what do you think?
Just that headline pisses me off. All right, they literally had a panel that they only allowed they non-binary people and women were allowed to attend. So just regular old men is not allowed. So what is non-binary? Somebody asked. Somebody has not been keeping up with 2018. Altai describes non-binary as confused, but it's basically transgender people that don't assign with their sex at birth.
Is that what it is?
Isn't it?
I thought it was people who are like both or something. Because if you're a man who identifies as a
I'm
woman,
pretty sure non-binary just means you don't associate with your gender at birth.
I thought it was like you're not man or woman. You're like something else, like other kin.
Well, that as well. It counts other kin. I guess all those other genders would count as well.
Yeah, it's Canaris. Yeah, I think you're wrong, Omer. If you're a man, and I mean, if you're born male and you want to be called a woman, right? You're still binary. You know.
Really?
So binary is
non-binary. Doesn't non-binary include trans people?
I don't know.
Genderqueer, also known as binary, non-binary, is a catch-all category for gender identities that are not exclusively masculine or feminine.
Yeah.
Identities which are outside the gender binary.
Yeah. You're wrong, buddy. You know what you're talking about.
No, hold on. Gender. I'm pretty sure it counts transgender. I think.
No. Well, if you're transgender and the gender you're choosing is like ooga booga, then yes. But if you're a man who wants to be a woman, or a woman who wants to be a man, you're still binary.
Hold on. Genderqueer people may identify either having overlap or indefinite lines between gender identity. I'm pretty sure non-binary include.
Get your SJW terms right before you come at me.
All right, maybe SJW terms need some work.
Yeah. So okay, I maintain my original position that they're confused.
What is a non-binary person? I don't know. I'm pretty sure if you were trans, you could have attended that seminar. I'm pretty sure that's what they're including. But again, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody to check and
here's my point. How do they know? Like, okay, imagine like I try to answer and like, sorry, sir, you can't come in. Sir, did you just call me sir? I actually identify as High Lord Ooga Booga, okay, of the Orc clan. Now let me in. Like, what are they gonna say? No? Like,
I don't know. How do you? Because if you're trans, you can very easily tell usually if someone is trans, right? Well, not very easily, but like it's more obvious than if you identify as like something else. So regardless, this panel, it pissed me off because why are you excluding just regular men from this? A woman and non-binary individuals are invited. Everyone else is banned from entering this panel. And what made it particularly worse is that this wasn't really announced beforehand. So like usually these events or PAX, they tell you what all the seminars there's going to be happening here, right? So it wasn't until the convention began that people realized that this wasn't open to men. So basically, if you're a man, you're banned from this place. And it was, I guess, this was their way of combating sexism, was kind of like banning men from this event, which is a really bizarre way of combating sexism. And when you want to literally exclude somebody from it. And it's really bizarre because I think you mentioned this before. Like, this wasn't a panel which I would imagine is a lot of demand. I mean, most people at PAX don't really give a shit about like being a minority in a workplace, right? Like, it's not something that's gonna be like packed up. They're not talking about game design. They're not talking about anything exciting, right? So the seats are gonna be empty anyway, right? So I'm sure there's if maybe you might be curious, maybe a dude that's curious about how minorities and maybe non-binary people handle the workplace, and maybe you want to better yourself and find out like what troubles they have in the workplace. Maybe you want to sit down there and learn from like what troubles they have, so maybe you can be a better person. The point is, like, by excluding these people, you're really just pissing off your player base. And I think there was an article that mentioned that like there's outrage amongst League of Legends players over this event. And what's really bizarre is that the Riot Games Twitter account actually like defended this position, like, and would argue with people that were trying to argue against them on Twitter, which is, it's so bizarre because I get it. Like, having a sexist work environment is not good, right? And like those articles about how like those instances of sexism hurt Riot's reputation for sure, right? The initial like expose, even though we talked about it in a previous podcast, I don't think it carried a lot of merit. But I'm sure like there are some instances where this shit happened at Riot, and they should fix those, right? But the player base as a whole wasn't like outraged by this, because I think most players realize that in a big company where there's thousands of employees, some shit happens once in a while. And it's never excusable, but shit happens. But when your company takes this position that's so public to basically just say, okay, we have an event only for non-binary and women, that's like, your player base is going to cringe. Even if you have like a valid defense of this position, and it requires a lot of explanation. It was a dumb move for them to make, and they're just alienating their player base, which mostly doesn't give a shit about that stuff anyway. And now people are pissed off, and I think rightfully so.
Yeah. This was a PR disaster, I think, for them. And I think Riot Games has kind of lost its way, because despite being still the number 2 grossing PC game, the Super Data, every month puts out stats. Dungeon Fighter Online number 1, League of Legends number 2 in the world. So despite being the number 2 grossing game, they're actually on course to lose money.
That's still mind blowing.
I mean, that was an internal report that came
over $1 billion. Yeah. I think they made $1.8 billion last year in gross revenue, in total revenue. I'm pretty sure they're going to make that kind of money like around the same this year, probably, maybe 1.5. These numbers are down 15% or so, 15-20%. It's still a very big number, but they're on course to lose money. And I think hiring extra layers of bureaucracy and some gender consultants and multiple law firms to make you more socially diverse is not going to be helping them.
Rare or above, you've just conceived an EcoBots baby.
Thank you for the 9 months in a row. Much love, fam. I like Chaos's theory. It's Tencent's way of crashing leagues so they can transition players into their mobile clones.
Well, actually, I have a theory about that, Chaos. So I think, honestly, at this point, I think Tencent, if you're listening out there, Mr. Tencent, it might be time to bring Riot Games to China, where you can actually make money off the biggest game in the world instead of, losing money. So, because the problem is Riot Games has 2,500 employees. I did some Googling, and Blizzard total has 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And Blizzard, remember, is running WoW, which is also in the top 10. It's running, HOTS. It's running Diablo. It's running StarCraft, Overwatch. These are huge games. And who knows what else they're working on? Hearthstone, right?
Yeah.
They're making movies, for God's sake. And they have 5,000 employees total. So Riot Games is sitting at 2.5. Okay. And they just hired a whole bunch of new people for this whole gender stuff, like you said. So I don't know. I think they just lost their way. I think it's time for Tencent to bring that to China, where the biggest market is.
It's real bad. I'm actually seeing Riot's position on this really changes my opinion on the company and the game. Because I don't really give a shit about this stuff for the most part. I play the game for it being fun, but it really does make me it makes me question all their other decision making, because it's not just one decision being made. Okay, the people at Riot that decided that this was the course of action to do, to ban men from attending this panel. This thought process, it infected Riot, and it's going to find their way to infect the rest of the game as well. If I can't trust their thought process on this, I'm not going to trust their thought process on literally everything else in the game. I lost a lot of respect for them as a company, and it's going to make me lose respect for their game a bit as well. And I think it's going to hurt their player numbers as well. A lot of people are going to be pissed off over this.
All right, I got it. I got the next event. All right, for a leak. All the female champions earn 20% more gold.
Ooh.
To make up for the gender pay gap. Okay, it's like a protest.
I like it. Yo, that'd be hilarious.
That'd be amazing.
So, after this, this drama was all over the internet this last week. Our League of Legends had a few fun satire posts about this, right? So the top post of the week is League of Legends to introduce separate ranked queues for female and non-binary players in 2019. Will not include male champions.
That's funny. So, are there any ambiguously gendered champions? Like Urgarth.
So.
What is Urgarth? Is he a male?
Who's Urgarth? Who the fuck are you talking about?
There's a hero that it's like a bug that spits.
Urgot. No, I think he's a dude.
Dude?
I don't think there's any obvious
non-gendered champions.
Yeah.
We got a protest.
What's pretty funny about this too is I think writers refer to people complaining about this as man babies on the internet, and they double down on their.
Yeah, I was showing that. It's a Boogie, YouTube's resident tabloid here, had this tweet. So Riot Games held a panel at PAX West that was open to women and non-binary folks. When asked to clarify, made it clear that it was excluding men and called Redditors who were against this man babies. So okay, so it's wrong to say sexist things against women, but a Riot employee can openly call people who complain man babies, but that's okay. That's not sexist. That's not a toxic culture, right? It's only a toxic culture if you're making women uncomfortable.
It's pretty nuts though. This whole situation really makes me question them. And you asked earlier, somebody mentioned in the chat, Ezreal might be the kind of gender ambiguous character. Could be a guy or a girl. He's got skins that for girl skins that other heroes wouldn't get, but he has it. So he could go either way. And there's some really good parodies over this too. It's really bad though. I lost a lot of respect for Riot. And in fact, this kind of slightly related.
Zenexile, this is literally how Rome fell. I don't know if it's literally like how Rome fell. The Senate is arguing over should we allow men into the Senate on Tuesdays for the transgender speech. I say nay.
Nah, man, Shaco is definitely a woman. It's pretty bad. And what's somewhat related, and why I thought this kind of stuff I think poisons their thought process. There was an article you linked me before about ranked League of Legends. There's more players now in silver.
I'll find it.
Than before.
I'll find it. This is a great article.
Mention that. So basically, we talk about ranked distribution a lot in Overwatch, League of Legends, and a lot of competitive online games. And I've long praised League of Legends because it puts the majority of their player base in silver and bronze, right? If you're gold in League of Legends, you're top 25%, right? Whereas if you're gold in Overwatch, you could literally be bottom 40%. You could still be gold. So League of Legends put most players in bronze and silver, where there's inflation in games like Overwatch, which place you very high, even though you don't block. In Heroes of the Storm as well. Like most players in Heroes of the Storm are like gold or higher, where the gold doesn't really mean anything when everything's so high up. So now, this article, talk about the article,
So I'll just read the one paragraph that's pertinent here. So on EU West servers, player distribution has seen bronze players go from 26.42% of the total to 15.38% since September 2017. So in 1 year, the number of people in bronze has fallen by 10%. Similar, that stat has gone from 25.44% to 15.2% on NA servers. Silver in both territories has gone up by 6%, and gold has increased by about 4%. So there are
these aren't like 6% increases. These are 6% additive increases. So if gold was like 20% before, it's now 26%. So it's like a 20% total increase in gold players. So what they're doing is they're pushing players up. And the way rank systems work and ELO works is it should always be a distribution, right? It shouldn't. You can't say people are getting better. That makes no sense in the context of a rank system, right? It's supposed to be a distribution. But what they're doing is they're pushing more. They changed the system and the algorithm to push more players into gold, platinum, and out of bronze and silver. So they're making people feel good about themselves. So now, for a long time, Riot was pretty good with their rank system where they if you were gold in League of Legends, it meant something. But now they're following the lead of Overwatch and Blizzard and a lot of other games of making people feel good about themselves more so than the integrity of the rank distribution, the rank system, which goes back hand in hand with their SJW position on this bullshit seminar.
Are they linked? Are those linked, Omar? You're making a link?
The thought process is linked. Of course, it's about making people feel good about themselves more so than like they're ruining the integrity of a mathematical system. Like these distributions are mathematical systems that they're just fucking with just to make people feel good about themselves and just changing them.
Here's a fun thought process.
I'm offended.
Okay, so right now there's actually a lawsuit going on against Harvard and other Ivy Leagues. Asian Americans are suing these schools because they're saying they were discriminated against, right? Despite having higher scores, they were not let in when other races were let in, right? Affirmative action, basically.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a game like League doing this? So Diamond, what's the highest? Diamond, right? Besides Master.
Technically, like, yeah.
Diamond. Okay, so imagine they say Challenger or Diamond has to have at least 30% of females. So if you're a female player who should be like Platinum, okay, but you're the highest woman, let's say, you get bumped up to Masters or Diamond, High Diamond. Would you be? Do you think the audience would revolt, or would that be like a
they would revolt? And what's crazy is there will be a noticeable decline in League's player base over this recent position that Riot took with this panel. People will revolt. People care about this shit because they care. They don't really give a shit about the actual event. They care about the thought process behind it, and it's gonna piss a lot of people off. Especially if they did the affirmative action thing that you just mentioned.
I think it'd be a cool experiment to see if people, because in the real world, guys, by the way, this is how it works. If you apply for like a government job or school, your race actually plays a big role, and or your gender too, presumably. So I wonder if that will.
There's a big difference, though. If you bump a platinum female gamer into E-girl into like Challenger, every game they play, whichever team she's on will just lose.
Okay.
Whereas if you apply to Harvard as like a minority, you don't really drag everyone else down. You can all just pass too. The average grade in Harvard is like an A, so it doesn't matter.
No, but what you do after Harvard reflects on the prestige of Harvard. It's like, okay, like imagine they let like 10% of people to just sit there and sleep all day, and then after they graduate, they go home and play WoW all day. Now you can't say something like the average Harvard graduate goes on to make $1 million a year.
No, but because affirmative action carries over into the real world as well. So after Harvard, more companies want to hire like minority executives, right? So if you're a minority, even if you perform less, you're more likely to be able to get a senior.
Well, that's
position.
why we got to do what I said. You give the girls 20% more gold, so it evens out. So they still win the same percent.
If they did that, they could balance it out. Yeah, if you give like the worst player, if you like bump a platinum girl player into Challenger and she just gets like 20% more gold, it could still create a fair balance.
She hits harder, so like it balances out.
She all takes harder. I think people would riot, but I honestly,
Riot Games.
I could see people doing that though. I could see a game eventually doing that. Like if they go mega SJW like Baka business, it could happen. It happens in the real world already with affirmative action and stuff. So they could easily apply that principle to gaming.
So the trick is when you're making your account, you got to choose female, half
non-binary,
half Native American, half black woman. Okay, then you
identify as dragon. Again, obviously,
you should be bronze, but you get bumped up to master.
And can somebody tell me definitively if does non-binary include trans people or no?
No, it doesn't.
Unless you're like trans dragon or something. It includes that.
It includes people who don't think gender is either male or female. It's more than that. That's what.
So it's interesting.
Okay. Yeah, like if I want to be, there's something called pansexual and all that crap.
What? I don't know what these words mean. What does pansexual mean?
I don't know either. I just know it's one of the things.
Okay.
Like for example, on Facebook, you can choose 50 genders, right?
Yeah, it's just really weird.
So a trans person who chooses male or female wouldn't choose those other ones. They would choose male or female, right? So everything else is non-binary.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I've not gone down this rabbit hole. My knowledge of this stuff is basically I know trans people, but I don't know the non-binary stuff. I've seen meme videos about attack helicopters, but I don't know what that accurately represents. Is there like any scientific literature on like people actually associating as like non-humans, or that's all bullshit? Because there are actual medical journals on gender dysphoria and stuff. But is there any actual medical literature on people on other kin? Like this concept of other kin, is that like a real like studied subject that like science recognizes?
I have no clue.
All right,
but
like somebody said pancake sexual. That sounds delicious. Castle Bird. Let me get on that pancake sexual. Yes, it's called psychosis. Nice donut. I feel like you just offended a lot of people on Tumblr with that one. All right, we got the Tumblr police coming after us.
The Tumblr police. All right. Well, anyway, that's the situation with Riot. The player base has been declining, mainly because of Fortnite. A lot of casuals went to Fortnite. The game is struggling. Like I said, they're on track to lose money this year. So yeah, I think it's time for Tencent to bring League of Legends development to China, which is, by the way, the biggest
overpaid Western employees.
By the way, Omar, you found some chart earlier. It's surprising what % of players of in League are actually from East Asia, whether it's China or South Korea. It's as a total of League players, North America is, I think, a pretty small minority. I think it was something like 10% of players are from America.
Yeah, the vast majority, like a big % of League players are already from China and Korea already. And we found numbers from the League World Championships, like over 97% of the players that watched the League World Championships last year that was in China, was like they were in China. Of the viewers, the vast majority, 97% of people that watched the League Worlds were in China last year. So the % of players are already very much favored to be in China.
Yep.
Anyway, we should talk about World of Warcraft.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Alta, you've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft a bit, so talk a little about World of Warcraft, and we know the raids are also coming out today. So what's the deal?
Well, I've look for a few. It's one of those things where it either clicks for you or it doesn't, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, it really clicked. So Gumball and I have been playing basically every day since it came out. Mm-hmm. Today's a big day. Today's the first raid came out. So after the podcast, I'll be playing that. Something called Mythic Keystones, which allow you to run the 5-man dungeons at progressively harder difficulties. Also came out today. So you can do Mythic 0, which is the base level, and it goes all the way up to Mythic 10, I think. Depending on how many of those you can do, or what tier you can do, you get different loot at end of the week. So I've been enjoying the hell out of that, and I think it's very popular. I think if you look at Twitch, like we were watching Asmongold do his raid today. Look, it's number 2 right now after Fortnite, which is like this huge, phenomena in the world right now. World of Warcraft's number 2 most watched game on Twitch. So this game's still got some pull power here.
So I linked you the Asmongold stream we were watching earlier today. So he streamed for 7 hours, trying to go for the world first in Uldir. He didn't get it though. I think Towley got it. Somebody else beat him to it. But it was fun to watch because he was getting mad at it's your boy Asmongold. Yeah, he's one of the few WoW streamers I do watch on occasion, just once in a blue moon. I actually don't watch too much Twitch, but I've seen him a few times. So you were watching him play. He was yelling at his teammates, which is pretty great. I love a little bit of toxicity in the morning. Waking up to see some guy yelling at his teammates. Ooh, shit's amazing. But I was watching this fight, and he's doing it in normal, right? And he died. He beat the fight on his 7th attempt, and he beat it on his 7th attempt on normal, which is actually pretty intense because for the normal mode, I was expecting it to be much easier.
Yeah, me too.
But remember, normal mode is still harder than LFR mode, which LFR mode is not out yet. LFR mode is really the joke version, right? Normal is at least you gotta do something, right? And we saw him wipe 7 times, and I was watching the fight, and it seemed really easy though. Watching the fight, because I haven't raided in WoW like since vanilla, so I can't really compare it too much. But I was watching him play, and the individual mechanics in this normal fight. Remember, this is a normal fight where it just seemed really brain dead easy, which is why I'm surprised it took him a while to kill it. There's like 4 mechanics he's got to keep track of while playing the game. Like he's got to watch out for one player gets targeted every X amount of time, where there's a bomb on his head basically, and he blows him in 4 seconds. And his only job is to walk away from the party and blow up over there. And if he does that, he's fine. He comes back to the party, gets healed, keeps whacking the boss. The other mechanic in this fight for a Guhun was every once in a while, there's a don't look mechanic. So the boss casts a spell. If you look at him, you get like feared or some shit, right? Don't look at the boss when he casts a mechanic. You know, Final Fantasy XIV's got the same mechanic. Don't look at the boss when he casts the don't look mechanic. And once in a while, there's a circle appears on the ground. You got to split that between all the range and all the, all the tanks and then healers and everyone else. You know, just the two groups basically tank the circles in the ground to split some buffs. And that was really it in normal mode. So I was surprised to see him wipe 7 times on this fight. I mean, not because of him, obviously. Other people making mistakes as well. But I think what's remarkable is, even though there weren't that many mechanics in this fight, what made it difficult was there was 20 players, and other people were messing up all the time. So it's a whole different ball game when you're playing with 8 players like Final Fantasy XIV has, and you got 20 players in World of Warcraft.
And I think honestly, I think it's two fundamentally different philosophies of challenge or difficulty. So for me, mechanics is like the lazy way out. Like for me, like a fun game doesn't number of mechanics for me is not what makes a game good or challenging. Like just think of like a battle. Like you have swordsmen, archers, and horsemen. But you don't need like falling fireballs to make something difficult. It's it's about fluidity. Like in WoW, there's a million ways to win. You can win a million ways to stand. Different comps you can use. Different times you can beat it. You can tank some mechanics maybe. I don't know, whatever your strat is, right? Whereas the more mechanical a game is, the more it seems like there's a way to do it.
Yeah, usually.
And I don't like that. I don't like at 1 minute into the fight, you got to go left. 2 minutes in, I don't like the fact that you can like basically train a lot of these games to play blindfolded. I want a fluid game, which a little bit of randomness.
Randomness is good, I think. But randomness can make the fights fun. But I think the mechanics, even if they're randomized, can make the fight interesting. So I know, Aldo, you watched this fight, right? You saw the mechanics in this fight, right? You both watched it at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So I looked up what this fight entails in Mythic mode, right? And it's actually pretty exciting. Mm-hmm. So in Mythic mode, you know how one person gets targeted with a buff, with the explosion, in 4 seconds he blows up, right? And these balls come out of him. These balls you got to dodge throughout the entire fight, right? So in normal mode, one person gets targeted. And once in a while, he just runs away, and that's it. On Mythic mode, I'll tell you, 12 players get targeted.
Wow.
So instead of one person having to split from the party, 12 players have to all go somewhere else. And what's remarkable is the little balls, they look kind of like gray balls that like bounce out, like light brown balls. And if you get hit by them, it's usually not that bad. You get a debuff and you take some damage, right? And the person that blows up launches 5 balls rather. In the Mythic mode, it's only 3 balls. But every time a player gets hit by one of those balls, he also launches 3 more balls. So if any player like gets hit by that, it's a cascade effect of other players getting hit by these by the balls as well. So there's so much more like intricacy involved. Where we saw the mechanic in normal mode was kind of a joke. Again, if you get targeted, you walk away. That's it. But when 12 players get targeted, and if any player gets hit by a ball, they launch 3 more balls. It creates a crazy like more shit you gotta keep track of. And of course, the balls hits harder and it's got more HP. And there's actually new mechanics as well. So there's mechanics where every player's got to like basically the whole arena blows up in 2 different stages, which is not a particularly complex mechanic. Where basically like half the arena blows up and the other half blows up, so you got to move and dodge it, which is pretty neat. But it's that combined with all these other mechanics going on. So the Mythic mode seems way more exciting because I was like, I didn't know if this was Mythic or Heroic even when I first started watching this. But when I heard it was normal, I was like, holy shit, that's pretty cool that a normal mode fight is actually causing some trouble. So it's pretty hype. And so I'm excited to see this in Mythic mode because if he had this much trouble with his group in normal mode, Mythic should be pretty fun.
Oh yeah, and even the other 5-man dungeons also have that concept where in each difficulty there's more and more mechanics unlocked. Mm-hmm. So the Mythic dungeons, the 5-mans even have different have additional mechanics. Like each time you go up a tier, you see more mechanics, which is kind of cool. It's a good system. Yeah,
because I still want to compare it to Final Fantasy 14, which I've rated in. I want to count the number of mechanics in a Mythic fight. I know you linked me one Mythic fight from the beta for Battle for Azeroth. Was that Mythic when you linked me?
I don't know. All I know is it was a raid boss, one of the raid bosses.
Yeah, I guess I'll wait to for my opinion, but I want to count the number of mechanics each player is involved with, because in Final Fantasy 14 you're typically doing more things, but the thing is when you have 20 players, it's obviously there's a lot more room to make mistakes. When one player messes up in World of Warcraft, it screws up everybody else. Just if one person didn't split from the party and he blows up, basically he kills everyone with him. So there's a lot of different ways to screw up. And you have very limited battle reses too, whereas you can just res for days in Final Fantasy 14. But watching the stream was actually mega fun. I really enjoyed watching Asmongold do these raids, and you're gonna be trying some raids later tonight, so it'd be fun to watch some of you do that too.
Oh yeah, I hope. Here's the thing though, I'm playing with like 4 or 5 friends. We're not like really in like a raiding guild.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see if we can get enough people for the raid. If we can't, we'll do our Mythic Keystones, which is like the harder tier Mythics, 5-mans. And once we start doing that, maybe I'll throw the stream up on my personal channel at least.
Yeah.
But one more swipe at Final Fantasy game where I got to take here.
All right, take another swipe all time.
So you guys are watching the final boss of the raid here, and it's like this giant slug monster. And arena is like this cavey kind of place with like these just sludge on the floor. And I really think when we were arguing about what a raid is, right? That you have to weave your way through this compound, right? Like you got to wake your way down underground to where this like old god is or whatever, right? And each step of the way, there's like trash mobs, a different setting, a different room. I think the ambiance really adds to the experience. It makes it a raid. Whereas if I just queue it with 8 people into a floating, arena in space, and there's a giant guy hovering, waiting for me to attack him, to start the fight, like to me that kind of diminishes what a raid is.
I get your point. I get what you're saying with the boss fights, and a lot of the Final Fantasy 14 Savage fights are really just generally floating circles. Like there's some variations to the floating circle, but for the most part, they're pretty minimal interaction with the environment. And it is kind of cool that you weave your way through there, but I don't think it's a requirement. And I think the cool part about the raids in World of Warcraft are they are just boss fight after boss fight. But the trash mobs, I don't like. I still don't like the concept of fighting your way through trash mobs. I don't think the trash mobs really add anything there.
Some of them, by the way, so far in Mythic Dungeons at least, I've wiped more on trash mobs than bosses, because some of the trash mobs, they have abilities, like they have interesting mechanics.
You have to know them. That's why you wipe to them in the process of learning what the hell they're doing. That's why that's the only reason you're wiping.
But also, I want to make a comparison here between so Final Fantasy 14. There's a lot of storytelling, right, with the cutscenes, with the dialogue, whereas I prefer WoW's approach of world building, right? So when you have an environment like this, like I'm fighting this slug in his lair, right? I have a concept of what the world is like. So the world is built well, even if the direct storytelling is a lot less, I feel, than Final Fantasy 14. And it's just I guess difference in what you like more, a taste difference. I prefer the world building over storytelling.
If done right, they can both be good. Obviously, there are fights in Final Fantasy 14 that the environments are a little more interactive. There's more shit going on, but I do think the World of Warcraft dungeons and the raid fights are definitely more like the environment plays a bigger role, which is kind of cool.
All right.
I think the Blizzard storytelling, the good thing about storytelling that's more like in the background rather than being in your face the way Final Fantasy 14 does, if you do a poor job or a meh job storytelling, it doesn't ruin the game. It doesn't really take anything away from the game, right? But when Final Fantasy 14 puts this story in your face, that's like, main story quest, some unskippable cutscenes, like some really, 30 minutes of just telling you the story, and it sucks, then it's a big detraction from the game. Like some parts of 14 I thought were really bad because the game is trying so hard with the story and it's in your face, and when it sucks, it's bad. Whereas in WoW, it plays a back seat where if you don't pay attention, who cares if it sucks? That's the biggest distinction, I think.
One more thing before we go about WoW. I was very impressed with how it handles lots of players on the screen. So I queued for a battleground, but one of those 40 on 40 ones, and it was a total clusterfuck. Like just people, but it didn't lag. It was 80 people fighting in a small area. There was no lag. There was no stuttering, and it was only recently that the Battle Royale games, right, PUBG and Fortnite, upgraded the engine enough, Unreal Engine enough, to actually handle 100 players without like 10 refresh rate.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to me that a 14-year-old game like WoW can handle so many players on the same map, and some of the world bosses, like you see him fight a world boss towards the end of this stream here.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, the world boss seemed pretty easy though.
It was easy, but my point is that many people on a map, and it didn't seem to lag that bad. I like that.
I mean, yeah. More people have gotten way more optimized like that, so it's all good. Well, Derpy07 says he played 14 for the first time in a few years. I was impressed with the story. I'm glad you enjoy it. It's not. I've enjoyed bits and pieces of the story. Disliked a lot of it, but other bits were good. Any other big stories to cover all time?
Big story. Well, Terra's doing a server merge for PC.
Yeah, but that was already kind of pre-announced a while ago, because when they did the console ones, they said the PC ones are coming soon. Yep. And server merge is usually like a bad word or like not viewed as good words, but like it's necessary. Get more players on a single server improves the experience for everyone.
Well, my point I was going to make is I think technology is at a place now with the cloud and sharding and stuff that we should not, as players, see servers anymore. Like in WoW, you can pretty much you can raid with and do dungeons with anyone across any server, right? Mm-hmm. And even in the open world, you often see people from multiple servers, like the way the zoning works and sharding works. I think honestly, it should just get rid of these servers at this point. Like it should just be one realm per region.
Yes,
like US,
100%.
US,
100%.
North America, South America, Europe, whatever.
It would just make it much better. 100% with you on that.
There are 246 servers for WoW just in America, U.S. North America.
It's insane. There's no reason for it.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of it's integrated, so it doesn't really matter. You're on different servers, but it's weird. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Don't like it.
All right.
Well, there was a bit of a story on Black Desert being more pay to win now. What a surprise! With every patch, there's more things being added to the game that people are saying killed the game. Apparently, more recently now you can there's new costumes in the game that you can melt into cron stones, which you can upgrade your gear with a better without having a chance of getting downgraded. So it seems like every patch in Black Desert Online they're taking additional steps to basically let people that are willing to spend money get more advantage. There was always an advantage to paying money in Black Desert Online, but now it's getting a bit more and more. So, yikes.
The remaster came out too, and apparently the numbers are back up, so that's good.
Let's see how we didn't talk about Bless. What the hell? Oh, we gotta talk about Bless.
All right, what do you got? What do you got for Bless?
All right, Bless Unleashed, the biggest scam of 2018, boys. You ready?
Oh, we're ready.
Bandai Namco and NeoWiz. Okay, I guess NeoWiz didn't want to self-publish because their name is in the shitter with good reasons, right? So they partnered with Bandai Namco to launch Bless Unleashed on Xbox One. And Bless Unleashed is a free-to-play Bless game that's built on Unreal Engine 4. So here's what happened. All right, they're probably working on a new version of Bless for a few years now. Okay, a new non-shit Unreal Engine 4 version of Bless, right? And in the meanwhile, we gotta get some more money. We gotta scam some money out of these pesky Americans because we didn't release Bless in America yet, and they're hyped for our shit game. So they released Bless on Steam as a buy-to-play game for $30 or some shit, right? And they promised they fixed the lag. They promised they balanced the game. They fixed all the problems. Spoilers, none of that shit was fixed. The game ran like a hot mess. It was pure and utter garbage. One of the worst launches I've seen for an MMORPG. If you bought it, sorry, try get a refund because that shit was a scam, right? They didn't fix anything. The game runs so poorly. And they made probably millions of dollars selling this unoptimized piece of shit game. And all throughout that process, they were working on a different version of Bless that was built on Unreal Engine 4 that was going to be free to play. So they launched a buy-to-play version that was inferior in every way, unoptimized, worse engine, piece of shit game, and now they're working on a free-to-play with a new engine. So they just scammed all the money from players on the buy-to-play Steam version, and now they're launching a console version, which will presumably be more optimized. I mean, it still might suck ass, but it's at least being built on a new engine, okay? The fact that it's on Unreal Engine 4 instead of 3 is going to, by nature, make it a little bit better, more optimized. So these guys are real assholes to be, because they knew when they launched the PC version as a buy-to-play game, they knew they were working on a Unreal Engine 4 version, which would be better. So they scammed you out of your money on the PC version, knowing they were making a free-to-play console version, a free-to-play Unreal Engine 4 version. So they're just total assholes. Don't buy this game. Don't support them. Fuck NeoWiz.
But now here's the question: will this one also make it to Steam? And will they charge money for it?
No, it'll probably be free. Why not? They already scammed us out of our...
You gotta hand it to NeoWiz. They're really milking every penny they can out of this. They keep relaunching it and relaunching it.
This is a shit game. It failed in Korea, failed in Japan, failed in Russia, failed in America, and now they're making it again on console. Amazing. So at least it'll probably be less laggy, but they're just assholes for selling us this garbage Steam version, which is a piece of shit.
And the player base for the Blessed PC version keeps going down. There's 700 people online right now.
Oh my! Look at that number goes down all the time. The numbers are going straight down for the PC version. It's a scam. The Bless is a scam. I don't like using the word scam for a game, but Bless is an outright scam. They said they were going to fix the optimizations. They didn't do shit. The game runs even worse than it did in the Russian version. They just lied. They just outright lied on the optimizations they did for the game. It's pure garbage. They just literally lied to everyone, saying it was better and fixed. Nothing was fixed. It's garbage. There were dupes available on the first day. Disaster. They're just outright scammers. Bless was an unadulterated, unfiltered scam.
Yep.
All right. You can say at least Star Citizen is trying to make something, right?
Tell me how you really feel.
NeoWiz knew it was a scam. It was a malicious scam. At least Star Citizen. The thing about Star Citizen is they want to make this grand game that I don't think they're going to be able to make. They don't have the resource to make, but they have this crazy dream, right? I think they're trying at least. They didn't just take the money and run already. They're trying to do something. They're going to fail. They're making these really weird, difficult promises and drama, but they're not trying to outright scam you the way with they're doing some shady things with the $30,000 ships. But Bless was just a full intent scam. It was a premeditated scam from the conception of the American launch as a buy-to-play game till now. From the get-go, it was a heist. It was a grift. They're assholes. Stay away from NeoWiz.
Yeah.
All right, that's my rant.
Cool.
Whew. Fuck bless.
So
They give me a free version too.
You want to
They
play?
give us a free version. They advertise at MMOs.com. They still suck ass. All right.
So we're playing Bless on Friday, right?
Oh, fuck bless. See, look here. With MMOs.com, we will gladly take advertising money and then call their game shit. All right. We'll take your advertising money and insult your game if it sucks ass. All right. We'll take all your free shit and then insult you if it sucks.
At least you're not crying about it like that guy.
Yeah, I'm not crying. That crying was pretty funny actually. Post game talk.
Post game. Let's go to the post game. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching on YouTube.
Take it easy.
We talk about some waifu pillows in the post game.
Oh,
Missing out.